Hey. Hey everybody. Just doing some analysis, and I'm interested to see what Cardano is getting ready to do here. We definitely see that the RSI is low, and so I wanted to chat with you guys a little bit to see what we think is getting ready to happen with Cardano. Do we think it's going to trend, or the RSI is going to continue to trend down while Cardano goes sideways, right? Or do we think Cardano is getting ready to break this top, which it looks like it kind of already is? This is our top right here. Um, Boy, we are getting real close here. This is a do or die moment, actually. And here's the really excellent thing. If you look at the Bollinger Bands here, it's a do or die moment, but we have room to run in the Bollinger Bands, which means we could possibly see a big move on Cardano coming really soon. It's excellent that the volume has been diminishing here, because everything is a cycle, so it comes in waves. So we're going to see this diminish, and then eventually we'll see it start to come up. And it all looks like really it's hinging down to September 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Like all right around here looks like a prime area for Cardano to just start breaking out. And I don't know what it's going to do. And I would really love to hear any comments that anybody had on what they think. I'm going to break this live stream over here so I can kind of see what's going on. Does anybody have any thing interesting to add, or is anybody out there? Um, so I personally think up is what's happening. Um, I definitely think that Cardano is ready to run. And I'm kind of curious to see what people think about the situation currently going on with Ethereum, and whether or not we should add that into our consideration of whether Cardano is going to go up or not. Let me see. It says, warning, the streaming current bit rate is lower than recommended, 4,500. Okay, so if you're going to ask me to adjust my bitrate, it would be nice if you would show me where it is to adjust my bitrate. So where do I adjust my bitrate? On my OBS or on my YouTube? Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't show me, so I'm going to have to look something up to kind of figure out what the bitrate is. That's okay. All right, guys. Well, welcome. Welcome to CardanoMint. My name is James, and I'm the stake pool operator for MaximumMint, ticker AMINT, and I am a stake pool operator for MaximumMint. Um, and I'm just kicking it today. Today, I am trying to just look at the charts and figure out what people might be thinking here with what's going on. I'm not telling anybody about this live stream. This will be for whoever decides to join in. And I'm going to make that private. There we go. Figuring stuff out as we go. And I'm live here, which is great. So, all right, guys. So our stake pool is, like I said, MaximumMint, ticker AMINT. And we are minting blocks at this time. Just want to give a promo or a share for my stake pool. Basically, my role is to educate and create content for education for people to onboard into the Cardano network. I believe that it's important. We have enough foundational structure in the network that is built up. Now we need to teach people how to use it so it doesn't just remain idle. And so I go out on a daily basis or, semi-daily basis, and I contact business owners and I introduce the idea and concepts of Cardano to them. And I assure you, it is constantly a situation where I get a lot of confused looks. The question I get a majority of the time is, what's the catch? Because people have been born into a system that is designed to entice you to get something, but at the very end, you're having to turn over or give something else to somebody else. And that is not what Cardano is all about. Cardano is all about symbiosis, and this network allows people to collaborate and mutually benefit through that collaboration. And I think it's a wonderful system. It was the reason why I initially opened a stake pool. I wanted to see if it was real. I wanted to see if it worked. And it really did work. I was lucky enough to receive a temporary delegation from IOHK for 15 million. And at that time, I was working full time. I wasn't able to do any marketing. And I felt really blessed to see my stake pool just thriving. And when the delegation, it was a temporary delegation, when it moved, since I hadn't been marketing and I hadn't been building up my pool, because it's really hard. It's like you're in the middle of this transition, working full time, supporting your family, and then all of a sudden you have this opportunity to take a leap. And I was really scared to take that leap. And but when I did, so far the stake pool has been taking care of us. It's been taking care of the family, and we have been building it up, and it is moving up. We were down to 106 million, and now we are at 1.27 million, and we're growing. I have a lot of people lined up to delegate, and I'm also looking for more delegators on a regular basis. Like I said, I do create that content for education, and I'm not an educator by trade. Um, I'm an analyst by trade, and if people understand what a diagnostic medical sonographer is, that's what I did prior to this. Basically, all I did was analyze data all day and do comparisons all day. I was doing it on human tissue, but there was a physics component and a real strict protocol for that analysis, which analysis translates very well into any arena. It's basically a protocol of comparing and doing a whole bunch of other things, and so naturally looking at charts and evaluating data has it's just been natural for me anyway. So I look at the charts now and I follow Cardano very closely. I follow the development. I am working on becoming a good Catalyst Advisor, which is somebody that evaluates proposals. I'm researching that. I want to do a good job there, so I'm spending a lot of time understanding exactly how it works. And I think it is, for at least people that hold Cardano, it is an inherent responsibility to review at least a couple of Cardano Catalyst proposals to make sure that the software that is being developed on the network, the dApps, the DeFi, the DEXs, and everything in between, is good for the network and helps grow and support the network and is made by quality people that are willing to have the software vetted and certified so that it's strong. And since I believe that all of the strength in Cardano lies in its foundational network, the foundational structure, I want to be a part of that. And so that means running a stake pool, and that also means it means reviewing proposals. And it's not a glamorous thing to do. Actually, sometimes it can be quite tedious to go through some of these catalyst proposals and try and figure out, which ones are really good quality. But I'm willing to do the work, and I'm interested to see Cardano survive and thrive. And I know that it's going to take all of us to do that collectively. So that's what I do as a stake pool operator and Catalyst advisor, at least soon to be Catalyst advisor. And so that's why I'm here. I also am a creative, and so I love Photoshop. It is something that I play with all the time. So, I'll create images like this, or many other things. I love to, I have lots of ideas on really fun things that I want to make for Cardano. And, I have plans for an NFT series as well. I'm going to do an 80s NFT series, and it'll be fun. It's got kind of a twist to it, and it's something that's going to take a while to build because I have to create the artwork and then I have to create the NFTs, but it's coming. And like I said, slow and steady wins this race. Cardano is definitely not a pump and dump. It is a network, a financial network that is uh, establishing itself. And so we're currently at $2 trillion within the cryptocurrency space that's slowly absorbing all of the financial energy from the legacy financial system. And remember, the legacy financial system is over 50 years old, 60 years old. It's mostly centralized computer servers with old, uh, network documents, and the protocols that they use to send and receive money have these huge gaps in time. And I think those gaps are designed for a purpose, because I think we're all familiar with how banks utilize our money. And initially, it was a wonderful thing. A bank would take our money and they would invest it, and then they would make interest on it, and they would give us a percentage of that interest. Hence the reason we were able to have savings accounts, and we would get like 10% interest or 6% interest back in the day. And now we see banks, due to the decreased buying power of the dollar, they've had to pull back how much they give to keep their business model supported. And so now banks, the most that banks will offer up is close to 1%, or I think I've seen some at 1.5%. And so who loses in that scenario? The consumer does, because instead of them uh, creating financial energy in the form of money to use later on in life, it's being stripped away. They're working as hard as they've ever worked in a frantic environment, producing tons of money for the businesses they're working for because of the technological refinements, right? Like one person can do the work of 10. If you compare that to, even 30 or 40 years ago, because of computers, and we're making more money for the companies, but because inflation is so bad, the companies can't release those funds to us. They need to keep it in the form of profit just to survive. And that is where Cardano comes in. Cardano, like I said, is a decentralized financial system, and it is more like a symbiotic relationship. You'll hear me say that quite a bit. And that symbiotic relationship allows people to take their financial energy and assist the network by connecting to it. And because they assist the network with their financial energy, the network will repay them for their efforts. And since there's no bureaucracy in the middle of that, the payments are quite large. You receive a good amount of money, more than you're used to receiving as a worker that works for a company that has, expenses all the way up the chain. So it's a really exciting space to get involved in. It does take a lot to research it, to understand it. But once you get the full picture of what is going on in the cryptocurrency space and you understand what is happening at the macro level, then it becomes very clear that this is something to get involved in. It is not going away. It is only going to get much, much larger, to the tune of probably, well, if you think about the money right now in crypto, like I said, it's about $2 trillion, $2.5 trillion in the space, and we have $400 trillion in the legacy financial system, or 400 trillion plus dollars in the legacy financial system. So if you understand it, how a majority of people do, or not the majority, I should say my majority, right, my friends, but if you understand it, how or understand what's going on here, is that legacy system will be moving into this new financial system over time. It may take 10 years, it may take 20 years, but it will be slowly moving in, trillion by trillion by trillion. And so right now the estimation is that Cardano and Bitcoin and Ethereum, they stand to gain collectively $8 trillion over the next 2 to 5 years into the cryptocurrency space, and that's in the form of institutional investors starting to realize what cryptocurrency is, and so they're investing in it, understanding that it has a long move in an upward direction to absorb our legacy financial system. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot to kind of swallow, and it's a rare event, needless to say. A financial system, you know, being modified or altered or evolving into a digital system like cryptocurrency doesn't happen very often. In fact, it's never happened in the history of our planet. We've always had money in the form of either precious metal. Well, first it was like trade, but we realized very quickly, well, you can't trade a cow for a chicken. It's an unfair trade. You got to trade like 20 chickens or 50 chickens for a cow, right? And so it was difficult to divide our value, and so they came up with these valuable tokens, gold. But if you were migrating from one town to the next and you came across marauders, you were robbed and you lost all your gold and possibly some of your assets in the form of cows or whatever. And so they moved to easier ways to conceal and move their money. And so eventually paper money was better because you could protect the gold in a vault with guards and steel and a building. And it was easier to just have a slip of paper that was signed by an emperor or a king to move money around. And it was certainly a lot easier to hide. Um, that lasted, for a while. And then we went into different forms of paper money because paper money had a problem initially in the fact that they could just keep creating it, and they would inflate it, and they would eventually just destroy the value of it. And so if you're a history buff, what you'll know, or what you'll see, is that uh, currencies die. They have a shelf life, and they do expire. They vary on how quickly they expire, but they do expire. So the very fact that cryptocurrency is starting to rear its head and the financial system is starting to decline, it's not like this once in a lifetime miracle. This is a cycle that we have experienced many, many times before. And so I anticipate that cryptocurrency will absorb the entire financial system over the next 20 years or so. And on the way up, we will see Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and other networks that choose to take on that burden of redesigning and becoming more efficient, and taking over some market that is starting to fail. The clearest example that I like to draw for everybody is uh, Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, depending on where you're from. So we used to have video stores, and I know fondly everybody on certain days of the week, maybe even every day of the week, depending on how much you love movies, you would run to the video store and you would first attack the return box, right? You'd attack that return box, you'd be waiting, hoping that that newest movie that you wanted is in there. Typically, they were sold out. If it was super popular, maybe they overstocked it for you. But we had this protocol that we would do. We would First, we'd discover that we wanted a movie. We would get in our car, start it, drive to the Blockbuster or the video store, Hollywood Video, whatever, and then we would go into the store. We would seize or attack that returns box looking for anything new. Then we would start to peruse all the aisles. This all took time and energy. You'd have to have a building, you'd have to have lights, you'd have to have employees, you'd have to have stockers, inventory, shipping, receiving. You'd also have to worry about returns, late fees. So you go to the counter, you rent that video, you watch that video a couple of times, and then you'd have to return it. This process was heavy in bureaucracy because there were so many things that we had to do just to get a video in our home and then watch it. And then very, very quickly, technology saw an opportunity to refine or streamline this process. And that came in the form of Netflix. And Netflix, as soon as they started to stream video, Blockbuster started to die. And it became a lot more or a lot less relevant as Netflix became more relevant. And so we no longer have video stores. If you guys drive around now, technology, through its refinements, was able to eliminate all of the unnecessary things that you needed to do to view a movie. When we watch videos today, we click a button that logs us right into our Netflix. We have all the excuse me. We have all the movies right there in front of us. We even have a new releases category, and nothing is ever out of stock. Every single movie is available thanks to technology. And so we're no longer rating some sort of return box hoping that a movie is available. It's there. And so because of this extreme change in convenience and time and speed, video stores didn't have a chance. And we're starting to see the same setup occur with our current financial system. We have a current financial system where we have these banks, and we have tellers, and we have bankers. We have loan officers, we have bank managers, we have bank CEOs, and all of these people are tending to the bureaucracy that is required to have a bank. And what they don't see clearly yet, and what most don't understand clearly yet, is the fact that cryptocurrency is, with smart contracts and decentralized exchanges and dApps and many other things that are coming, NFTs especially, the development of NFTs is just on the cusp. We're playing with the concept of collectibles and art. But the fact of the matter is an NFT is a one-of-a-kind token which can be utilized to verify or validate something as well, because it's one of a kind. And you can produce multiples of a one-of-a-kind item. You could serialize them. And so if you had people that needed access to something, you could give a group an individually unique yet the same token, and all of those individuals would have access to something. So it's kind of a tangent, but my point is that the space is far from developed, and it is going to discover where it is most valuable in our current financial system. And as soon as it does, just like Blockbuster, whatever that is will be gone, and it'll be replaced with the technology that we're implementing here. I have an excellent example of how smart contracts will modify law offices. And we will always need lawyers, first of all, but lawyers do a lot of work. They do a lot of paperwork, and they do a lot of billing, and they spend a lot of time making sure that things get executed as they are supposed to. And a simple smart contract can assist an attorney's office. Let's say they have an estate that they manage with monthly or biweekly distributions, and they have to make sure that these distributions get done at a certain time, a certain day, maybe even with assistance from a human for verification. All of these things are able to be done with smart contracts. But what they can do is they can build the smart contract specific to a client with all of the parameters that they need, and then they just execute that smart contract, and that smart contract will run like a machine and do exactly what it's supposed to do over and over and over again. And it'll also document itself on the blockchain so you can aggregate the data and make sure that everything is happening according to what your expectations are. So law offices have a ton to benefit because right now, sometimes the execution of these models require linking into a bank, delay of funds, time. Obviously, we know that there's bureaucracy in between all of that. All of this goes away with a smart contract, and the best part is you can have one smart contract that's universal, and you have a client, and you can use that smart contract for them, and then you get a new client, and you just take the exact same smart contract, duplicate it, and then use it for them. And so the work involved for attorneys' offices to refine and streamline some of their processes is duplicatable. So once they build it one time, they can reuse it over and over and over again with small modifications depending on the client's needs or the variability in the situation. Smart contracts will revolutionize the world. It's one of the reasons why Ethereum came to a screeching halt. The network was growing so fast, with businesses starting to onboard with the use of smart contracts to facilitate agreements and exchanges for business. And all of a sudden, Ethereum hit a point where it couldn't scale. And then gas fees, if you know how Ethereum works, you can kind of push your transaction ahead of others by paying higher gas fees. And there's also a worry that if you don't pay enough gas fees, you're going to lose your funds, because if a transaction fails in Ethereum, the gas fees still get claimed, and the transaction gets kicked back. This is a huge flaw in that network, and like I said, this is all new and they're developing. Cardano is built in a much better way, and it has a much better overall performance model where things like that just don't happen. But it is something that will tackle the market and make changes over time. So the question is, and this is why I'm doing a live stream today, is as Cardano starts to go up and we see the value increase as they start to implement these tools to absorb that market, how can we teach enough people to realize that if you get in now, as this starts to rise, your life will be affected dramatically? Because right now, like I said, we're only at $2.5 trillion, somewhere around there, with 400 trillion to go. That means that people that invest even modest amounts into this arena stand to make more money than any other early adopter of Apple or early adopter of Microsoft or early adopter of any one business. Because the fact of the matter is Cardano isn't one business. Cardano is the foundational layer of all business around the world. And that is something that most people just aren't understanding yet. And so as an educator, my job, my desire is to show people and to explain to people what is going on in this cryptocurrency space and how to identify valuable projects versus just coins. It's really interesting. There's 7,000 plus cryptocurrency coins out there, and they are all subject to this pump and dump pattern. And that's only because they're rising and falling on the growth and development of real financial networks. The reason why the government and the news touts cryptocurrency as scammy and volatile is simply because the majority of tokens that exist on the cryptocurrency space are scams. They have no real utility or purpose. They're people that are just trying to make money. And They have no plans to further develop their promise of their coin. They have no plans to work on it. They're just going to take the money and go. But within that muck of 7,000 jokers, there's real utility existing hidden. And that's why one of the biggest claims that people in the cryptocurrency space make is do your research. Because what you need to do, what that means specifically for the people that are new in the cryptocurrency space, is do your research to figure out what coins are actually going to do something, what networks are actually building, and then find out which coins are complete scams or copies and avoid those. Now, like I said, there's 7,000 plus cryptocurrencies out there. Nobody's doing any research. They're investing based off of word of mouth. And if you're lucky and you know people like me, or you know people that are in the space that understand what's going on, if you're lucky, you get introduced into a real project with real promise that has significant development and growth potential. If you're not lucky and your friend has been buying Dogecoin for the past few years and he's like selling you on Dogecoin because he just thinks it's the hottest thing on the planet, Dogecoin is a copy of Litecoin with a dog logo and it has no utility whatsoever. But they'll explain it differently. They won't have the knowledge to correlate how it can really do something of value. They'll just say, oh man, I bought it here and now it's here and I'm getting rich. It just depends on the individuals that you associate, and that's unfortunate. And that's why I make these videos, because if I can touch more people and explain to them what's happening and give them the macro view, it's much easier to weed out the bad projects from the good. And it's easier also to hold on to your tokens when we see big dips. People worry that, about Bitcoin especially. Let me see if I can go into Bitcoin. I am in studio mode here, but what I'd like to do, can I get out of studio mode? Yeah. I'll pull in my chart right here. It's kind of like super quick. Boop, boop, boop. So go back in here. So basically we have Bitcoin, right? And just so you guys know, this stuff's really old. You can go back. I have tweets, but I predicted that this was going to be a drop zone, a big drop zone for Bitcoin. And I said, if we can make it past this stretch of time without it dropping, we'll go up. But we didn't make it out of that stretch of time. We went all the way down, and I anticipated this was going to be a quick drop zone. And boy, it sure was. It hovered here for a little while and then zoom, and then it just dropped way down. This is what Bitcoin does. Now, Bitcoin has a purpose and it does have a utility. It is the first cryptocurrency experiment to send value from one location to another without the fear of duplication or corruption. And that is fundamentally huge for the cryptocurrency space. Ethereum is the second generation cryptocurrency line, and they, instead of just sending value from one place to another, they created and designed a way to exchange value. Now we're talking, now we're cooking with gas, because when you can exchange value, now you can have a transaction. Sending value is not a transaction. Sending value is just a gift. But when you can exchange A for B and do it instantly without worrying about the other person not giving you what they promised, that is a big deal, because now we have created computer systems that facilitate the need for trust to mediate transactions. This is where business starts, because that's what business is. It is basically facilitating transactions. And every business to date has had to link into a financial system, a third-party financial system, and pay fees as high as 3% on every single transaction they make in order to conduct business. And that was just an accepted thing. It was an accepted cost of doing business, is what they say. With smart contracts, what we're looking at is the use of computer networks like Bitcoin, but not Bitcoin. We've redesigned it. Cardano has redesigned their network. And we are going to be able to facilitate transactions direct peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer meaning person to person, business to person, direct, without any mediator. So all of a sudden, every single business on every single transaction is saving 3% minimum, not including the speed, efficiency, and accuracy that smart contracts bring to the arena. So if you're considering wanting to understand as a business owner smart contracts, give me a call, contact me, head over to my website, CardanoMint.com, head over to our contact page, and I have all my information listed here. I'm not hiding from anybody. There's a lot of people that cover their face or they use their microphone to hide who they are. They wear hats or veils because I don't think they understand what's happening here. And they fear that cryptocurrency will be banned or that it's bad or that it's somehow doing something wrong or illegal. And that's just not the case. It's not doing anything wrong or illegal. It's doing something very, if you ask me, American. It's figuring out a way to utilize technology to do something better than it's been done before. That's not a crime. It's actually something that we should all try to do is try to enhance how we can do things so it's better and more efficient for everybody. Smart contracts also do something wonderful. Like I said, you can contact me on my webpage. My name is clearly right there, James Roop. You can email me at cardanomint@gmail.com. And I also have a Telegram. I usually respond to that much quicker because Telegram is just always running for me. But my point in this is not only do businesses get to benefit from the streamlined effects of smart contracts and how it'll be more accurate and save them time and save them money, but now even the smallest businesses can start to work with the accuracy and power of large businesses. Smart contracts are not privy to just strong and healthy and monetarily big businesses. Even the smallest businesses can utilize a smart contract and facilitate a deal or an exchange of value inside that smart contract. And that is where the game changes, because typically the best technology to run the best businesses cost a ton of money. And so new businesses are always striving to reach some sort of financial threshold where they can sustain themselves or survive. With smart contracts, even the smallest business will be able to sustain itself and survive because the smart contracts are extremely cheap to use. They cost pennies to use. Mediation through attorneys. So let's say you're a business and you have a client and you have mediation. That's gone now because the mediation occurs inside of the smart contract. You guys agree in the contract of what the terms will be, and because you guys decide those terms and you guys have an agreement right there, once you fulfill your side and they fulfill their side, that's it. The smart contract will take over from there and make sure that everything is executed according to both parties' desires. So business is about to change, and it's changing in the form of cryptocurrency. And the more people that learn about it, the sooner they learn about it, the sooner they realize that this is not going away. This is only going to get bigger by a lot. Those are the people that I want to reach out to and educate so they can utilize this technology to grow. I do believe that just like Blockbuster died because of Netflix, businesses that don't seek to learn and adopt this technology and integrate it will be too inefficient to compete with the newer businesses that erect under this model. There'll be new businesses that rise with this model as their basic foundation. And when you pit that new business against an existing business that uses the old system, it's going to be a black and white situation. We're clearly going to see the older businesses fall because they're just not going to be able to compete with the speed, accuracy, and cost of what smart contracts can do for any business. So if you're interested and you want to learn more about smart contracts, please contact me. Like I said, head over to our website. And like I said, I have my contact page. We've got my name, my email, my Telegram. If you like this content, you can also donate Cardano. And I also have my Twitter feeds here. So any breaking news or anything changing will show up here. Like I said, I do fun art, so I kind of made this one recently, and I will be making more. I'm planning on making an NFT series, and I'm going to be auctioning those off as well. Um, and I also have a gallery where I create fun little announcements and art for the Cardano ecosystem. This was for the Africa launch. So yes, Cardano has government adoption. It is the only cryptocurrency in the world to receive government adoption. And that was in Africa, and that was in the form of the educational system. And what they're doing is they're putting all of their students on Cardano through the digital ID system, Atala. And this system is going to track their IDs. It's going to link their education and credentials in this system, as well as their credit and performance, which means when they leave, instead of leaving their area and moving to another area where they don't have any papers that show they went through high school, or they don't have any documentation that shows that they've completed something because it's just not well managed or well kept there. These individuals that are on Atala with the DID will be able to walk anywhere in the world and pull up their credentials on the blockchain and share them with employers who are interested in employing them. You guys, this is groundbreaking for about 2.5 billion people that have not been able to afford or have access to a technology system that would be willing to host their data for them. And this is going to be a game changer because it's going to light up the world. It's going to make sure that everybody has the same shot, at least when it comes to preserving their identity, preserving their credentials, and also gaining credit. We'll be able to see if they pay their bills on time, if they're credit worthy, if they are creating scams on a regular basis. We'll also be able to see, their medical history, or not see it. I'm just saying they will have control of this data, and if they wish, they will be able to send us a token that would allow us access. So consider your doctor's office. Every time you go into a doctor's office, what do you have to do? You have to fill out all the forms. You have to fill out the HIPAA form. You have to fill out all your medical history. And it's always the same. No matter which doctor's office you go to, you're having to fill out these forms. And it's so tedious and so tiring. Imagine with Atala, you simply input this data, and when you walk into the doctor's office, you show a QR code, doctor's office scans it, and boom, they've got all your relevant medical data that they need. Not all your medical data, just the data that that QR code gives them. And so things like that are on the rise. We're going to start to be in charge and have access to all of our own private data. And we, through these systems, will be able to dish out specific data for specific people that may request certain items. No more of doctors' offices hosting our data for 7 years. Sorry guys, hold on one second. All right, guys, I don't even know if we're still live streaming or if we are, well, it says we're live still, so let's see. Your channel. Okay, yeah, it does say that I'm live. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I'm still cooking. Let's see, anybody watching? One watching. Cool. It does say that I'm live. Okay, cool. See anybody watching? Okay, so I will get this off the screen so it's not as daunting. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. So we have a lot of so back to what I was saying. So anyway, sorry, I had both things running there. It's kind of confusing. Live streams are a mess, man. We've got you know, a whole bunch of stuff going on. So this is our stake pool for anybody out there who's interested. I am, like I said, MaximumMint with the ticker AMINT. I have a little joke on my website. It says, have a mint. You deserve it. It's right on the corner here. So a mint. People are like, what's a mint? I'm like, it's like a mint. Have a mint. You know, you have stinky breath. No, you don't have stinky breath, but I'm just trying to coin it with something so people can understand it. AMINT, and that is my server. Right now, if you go to adapools.org, you can see our stake pool and it's running well. We are in a minting phase, so that is good. And I've got a nice pledge. I've got a very fair fixed cost and margin. I am not competing to try and beat any stake pool. This isn't about beating a stake pool or being more competitive. It's about consistently running a server to validate transactions. And these servers are supposed to be my new job. It's supposed to be my way of making an income. And people who want to assist can port into one of my 60 million slots for delegation and assist the network and also make money. So I've built the server. Now I just need more delegators to port in to make 5% so we can live in this new world with symbiotic relationships where we build back the middle class and we basically take back the power that the one percenters in our current capitalistic system have kind of designed to funnel money away from the middle class. And I firmly believe that these types of systems, when the majority of people start to enter into this space, um, they will realize that their lives are getting better very quickly. I started investing in cryptocurrency about 6 years ago, and I started with a modest amount of money. I think it was like $16,000, and I assure you, it was very difficult to even release that much because I was in a constant state of living paycheck to paycheck. 2-degree holding individuals working in the medical field, board certified, both, and we're living paycheck to paycheck, not with fancy cars. Yeah, we do have kids and, you know, some are in college and that is expensive and that's probably the majority of it is, you know, when you have to support a family, it gobbles up a lot of your funds. But my point is that 40 years ago, 50 years ago, one person could work, take care of an entire family. And it just goes to show you how bad inflation is that nowadays it was requiring two people to just scrape by. But once I invested in cryptocurrency and it started going up and I started to realize the utility and it was going and going, I was like, oh my gosh, like it changed our life. I remember when after like the first couple of years when, you know, we had like 100,000 or so in the bank and I was like, I've never had 6 figures sitting in the bank ever. Like this is crazy, or I should say in crypto accounts. And then it just kept going up and kept going up and kept going up. And now I'm at a point where I do this as a hobby because I realize that I didn't do anything special. I wasn't some fantastic trader that followed some secret algorithm Or I didn't listen to Benjamin Cowan while he talks of his dubious examinations of the charts with his NASA engineering degree. All I did was buy it. And the network, because it is growing and growing and growing, my value went up because of it. And so I'll reiterate that if you consider that we're at 2.5 trillion or so, and we have 400 trillion to go, anybody who starts to buy into this ecosystem at this level only needs to have a small amount of patience, 5 years, 6 years, and they will see the fruits of what is happening here. Yeah, cryptocurrency goes up and down, and if you watch cryptocurrency minute to minute, it might rack your brain. But when you understand the macro picture of where everything is going, and then you can kind of see it, this is funny because a lot of people, they just don't step out of their charts. They just, they look into these hyper minutes and they're like, oh, it's down. Oh, my money's down. It's like, step back and you draw a line, and I want you to figure out where you think cryptocurrency is going in the long term over time, because it's always about over time, right? So if you look over time, you can clearly see from where it started right there to where it's going. There is no question in my mind, and there shouldn't be a question in anybody else's mind, that the only direction that cryptocurrency ultimately goes is up. Yes, it has recoveries. Yes, it does take time to go up, but unlike your money in your account, or unlike your money in a 401k, which is extremely volatile, you never know what you're going to have in any one year, depending on the economy. Cryptocurrency has the ability to just keep going up, and with good reason, because it is a glass that is got a spit worth of water in it, and it's getting ready to get filled up with the rest of the water. And so my non-financial advice, this is just my experience, my opinion, and what I think, based off of what I have studied, is that to get involved in this space is not the worst idea an individual could have when it comes to trying to figure out how to hedge against the current financial crisis that most of the world is in. And the reason why most of the world is in a financial crisis is because the US dollar is losing so much value so fast. Remember, the US dollar, or every other currency, is pegged to the US dollar. So if the US dollar is struggling, every percentage that it gets weaker and weaker, its buying power diminishes, affects countries. Which countries get affected first? The weaker countries get affected first, because a 10% drop in the dollar for us is not a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal. Nobody wants to lose 10% of their buying power. But for some countries that may live off of the 10% exclusively, they completely wipe out their economy when the dollar drops 10%. And we've seen similar things to this, as El Salvador had collapsed because they had overprinted their money and went into a terminal spin. And then when the American dollar dropped in value, that was it. It was over. They couldn't even print enough money to buy chicken, or to buy, to buy bread or milk. In fact, oh, it was actually Venezuela. I think I said El Salvador. I think it was Venezuela. Uh, um, currency to buy chicken. Let's look at these pictures. These are fun. I mean, and honestly, I take that back. I really do. These aren't fun. They're a blatant, this is a blatant example of how bad things can get. So one American dollar was worth all of these Venezuelan dollars. If you wanted to buy butter, you'd have to do this. People had wheelbarrows of money that they were pushing around to try and make purchases of things. And they even make junk out of it, because the money has no value, so they're just making stuff out of it. I mean, look at this stuff. This guy has all this money, and they don't have a digital system in place. So in order for them to transact, they have to do this with their dollars. And that's just not efficient. This is another huge benefit as to why cryptocurrency is so incredibly powerful. Look at they made bags out of the money and they sold the bags for more than what the dollars were worth. So these are the types of things that we're seeing in other countries that are weaker than the United States. And this is something that concerns me also. So if the United States is ultimately the strongest country and will feel the sting of the decline in the power of the dollar last, so Americans will feel that sting at last. Who will feel the sting first? The weaker countries will feel that sting first, and they're going to react first. So just like Venezuela went out and they adopted Dash as their national currency, they have acted and have entered into the cryptocurrency space. They are there now. They were getting Dash when it was cheap. They are getting Dash as it's developing. So what's going to happen with Americans? Since we have the American dollar and we won't feel the sting and the desire to swap out sooner, we're going to feel that sting later. Does that mean that America could fall neutral in the world according to its buying power based off of the delay of adoption that Americans will see? Or through education, will America be able to adopt cryptocurrency in mass enough to where they don't fall second fiddle to other countries that are going full force and adopting cryptocurrency today at these prices? I often think about when I was buying Cardano. So I was buying Cardano at 2 cents. And I read the white paper and I told my brother, and I was like, man, this thing is just insane. Like, it has got every angle covered. We've got to get Cardano. And he was like, nah, I don't know about Cardano. I think it's a dead project. Yummy coffee. Anyway, so my worry is that Americans will fall below as a superpower, as the ability to have buying power. America will fall because we need to adopt the cryptocurrency now or sooner than everybody else for us to maintain our status. And this concerns me greatly because we are clearly seeing governments and countries adopt cryptocurrency for everyday use now. So that means they are ahead of us. Whatever crypto they were buying and stacking and using, they're buying it cheaper than when Americans are going to get it. And if you think about that, just like I said, when I was buying Cardano at 2 cents, so 2 cents, I mean, that bought me a lot of coins. So, I was buying 50 coins per dollar at that time. And it's just it's kind of scary to think that if Bitcoin goes to $100,000 and people are buying it now, or $200,000 or $300,000, I mean, we know the estimates. If you do the math, with all of the financial energy coming in, eventually Bitcoin, if it was the only holder of all the value, Bitcoin would equal like $100 million. Obviously, that's not going to be the case. Bitcoin won't hold all the value, but it will hold a majority. And then there will be other networks that hold the majority based off of their utility and purpose. And so if we have Bitcoin holding some, let's say we get a Bitcoin instead of $100 million, it's not going to capture all of the wealth. So we'll say a $10 million Bitcoin is an eventuality. The people in other countries that are harvesting and buying and utilizing Bitcoin now, they're going to see their accounts consistently rise over the next decade without doing anything. They're going to constantly have more money replenishing in their account as the value and utility and use of cryptocurrency goes up over time. And so this is why I have found my purpose here. I need to educate people, and I want to tell people about cryptocurrency, how it works, what's going on in our financial system, and the benefits of getting involved today versus tomorrow. And I hope that message just resonates out there, because if people don't do this, instead of them becoming a strong middle class, we'll see them fall off into a lower class area. And it's going to be really scary when that happens, because they're already talking about a universal basic income. Elon Musk, who is brilliant, is already getting ready to design and develop robots. Gosh, is this the future or what? Robots. I don't know if you guys watched his recent release of a video, but he is designing robots, and he gave us the specs. He showed us what they look like. They're AI driven, just like his cars, and they're able to learn at a basic level, meaning you can communicate them through speech. You can say, hey, can you pick up all these dishes and put them in the sink, wash them and dry them and put them away? And it'll understand that and be able to figure out what that means. He is suggesting that these robots, these fleets of robots, will be able to take over all rudimentary, basic, and dangerous jobs that are not made for humans or not good for humans. They don't get tired. They don't complain. They'll do their task perfectly every time. And he believes the only way to make this work is to help initiate a universal basic income for all of the individuals that are currently doing these jobs that will be displaced. And if you consider a universal basic income, that means that our new lower class will be the ones living strictly off of UBI. That doesn't sound great to me. I would rather see, instead of people getting displaced due to robots and getting a UBI, I would rather see individuals investing in new financial networks that are going to grow radically and avoid the need for a UBI altogether. And how does that happen? Well, I think we're already kind of seeing it. Have you guys checked the prices of PCs on Amazon, or graphics cards on Amazon? This is surprising, because Amazon currently has let's see. So we've got some gaming PCs. We've got some. Look at this card. This is a Maxon GeForce 1660. Okay, so that card is not a very high performance card. Let's see, Radeon RT. It's funny because they're advertising the lowest end cards now. Let's go for a card that actually works. Let's do something like a 3090, right? So what you're going to see in these computers is that they've gone way up in value. When was a computer a $5,000 purchase? Like, when did that happen? So that just has a basic i9, 64 gigs of RAM, a terabit, and a 3 terabit hard drive, a 3090 video card, an 850 watt supply. That's it. This is it's a high-end computer, no doubt, but at $5,000? It's the video card that's causing this price increase, because people are utilizing the GPU technology in video cards to mine or to have a high performance computer so they can make money on the internet. Let's see. So let's go. I'm just going to type in 3090 because I just want the card. I don't want a computer. So here we go. So out of those $5,000 computers, if you see just the video card for a 3090 here is $3,000. So the computer itself isn't worth as much as the video card. The video card is where all the value is. And this is what allows people to make money on the internet by crunching video, or calculating data, or running servers, mining, doing all of those things that can generate money. So right now, computers are a premium item, and it is because it is the gateway into the new financial and technical systems. Oh, wow, that's a cool looking case. Look at that guy. What? It looks like some like sort of cockpit to like a helicopter or something crazy like that. Wow, what a machine. That looks so interesting. I just don't even understand the design. Like, how do you get into it? Looks like there's just a piece of glass right here. Definitely cool stuff. They're really up in the game, and they're making computers very interesting. To me, it seems like they're overpriced right now, but the fact of the matter is I don't think they're really overpriced. I think what's happening is inflation is getting so bad and this network is rising so fast. We're seeing this big offset. And so we're seeing the distance from here to here, but it's actually two movements occurring at once. The American dollar power is dying as the cryptocurrency space is growing. And so we're seeing this huge gap. And so I look at these computers, I'm like, yeah, I can get a few of these guys. I can buy some computers here. But I imagine to a majority of people to see these price tags that aren't in the cryptocurrency space, they're like, I could never afford a $3,999 computer, which means I can never get into the cryptocurrency space and do anything. And I would love to change that through education. I would love to change that, teaching you how to get free crypto. One of the most important things you can do is get your free crypto while you can. And so I host classes, private classes, where I will walk you through all the steps on how to set up a Coinbase account, all of the hurdles involved in a Coinbase account, and what you should do with your money once it's in Coinbase. And just so you know right off the bat, don't leave it in Coinbase. Coinbase is a repository. Coinbase is a place of exchange. You take your money out of a bank, put it in a repository, you exchange those American dollars for a cryptocurrency, and then you get them out of the repository. You don't leave them in the repository. You know what happens when you leave them in Binance or Coinbase? Let's find out. So let's go to the dashboard here and we're going to scroll down, and this is going to process and look at some stake pools. And what we're going to do is we're going to see something very interesting. Binance staking 42, an oversaturated pool. It's not even making its full potential of rewards, because when it's over 60 million, you start losing rewards. People are uneducated. All of these should be close to saturation. None of them should be in saturation. If people understood what was going on, they'd be like, uh-oh, the pool's oversaturated. I need to seek another pool like AMINT, like my pool, because it's undersaturated, and they're ultimately going to get more rewards from an undersaturated pool than a punished pool. The reason this line is red is because this pool is being punished. They've lit it up red and said, look, you're only going to get 4.23%. You're only going to get 4.69%. My stake pool gives a full percentage higher because I'm not saturated. This is the design of the network, and this is the lack of education that we're seeing in the space. And look at how far this thing goes. We have an entire wall of Binance staking pools. Binance staking pools are oversaturated. They're not returning the maximum rewards, and in a lot of cases, you're not even seeing these rewards as a Binance client. Any cryptocurrency you buy while you're hosting it on Binance, they're delegating it and they're keeping the percentage. Unless you specifically go through the hoops to delegate it through Binance, then they'll give you the rewards. But then they're giving you less rewards than you deserve anyway. So notice 4%, 4%, 4%, 4%. Do you guys see any other 5%? No. Let's go to the next page. 4%, 4%, 4%, 4%. This is crazy. And this is up 40,000, 40,000, 35,000, 45,000, 50,000, 36,000. These guys are up, up, up. People are literally burying their money to get less return. And so it looks like Toro Pool is unknown, so they're not even listing their percentages anymore. That's funny. Well, they're oversaturated, so the fact of the matter is they're oversaturated. We already know, even though they're listing it as an unknown, we already know that it's in the 4% range because they're oversaturated. But like I said, if you go to a non-saturated pool, a decentralized pool like my stake pool, CardanoMint, you will clearly see that my lifetime ROA is 525%, an entire interest rate percentage higher than Binance. So the question is how can a little guy like me be returning a higher percentage than a multi-million dollar, possibly billion-dollar company like Binance? It's because The network is designed to reward decentralization. Cardano is designed to rebuild the middle class. Cardano wants to make the middle class strong. And when people are putting their money on these stake pools that are run by corporations that are trying to become a new banking system, we don't want a new banking system. We saw what the old banking system did, and it basically just took our money away and made the rich richer. They're trying to become the new banking system, getting people out of their bank into Binance and then leaving their money into Binance. And that basically just moves one rich owner of a bank to another rich owner of a bank. And they're all keeping your money, unfortunately, in between. The best thing that you can do is to educate yourself, watch this video, listen closely, and understand that if we figure out how to utilize these tools properly, take our money out of our bank, put it into a repository, exchange that American money for cryptocurrency, then get it out of the repository and then into a private wallet. And then at that point, you have the power to act like Binance. You have the power to act like a bank by delegating it and making interest on your own funds. This is the power of cryptocurrency. This is what we're all here for. And here is my stake pool. And you know what's funny? My stake pool, it just lost $3,000. So somebody is moving out of my stake pool, and this has been like bogged down. So oh, okay. They're moving out of my stake pool. Why? Look at all these awards I have. I've got all these awards from running an awesome stake pool. Everything is working perfectly, and people are still migrating into the bigger pools because they simply don't understand what is going on, and all they're trying to do is make money. And they're like, oh, how can I make more money? I'll go to Binance and I'll stake on Binance, not realizing that Binance is chipping them 1% right off the top. Well, some people are like, well, 1% isn't a big deal. Well, 1% over time is a very big deal. And if you understand how compound interest works, you would agree with me. You definitely want that percent, and then you definitely want time and tokens to grow in your personal wallet without any worry that they can be hacked. Remember, when you're leaving your money on a repository like Binance or Coinbase, those aren't your coins, not your keys, not your coins. And so you need to get your money into a private wallet that has your own private keys. And no matter what happens at that point, if anything crashes or goes down or whatever, you still have your coins on your personal wallet. You know what happens to Binance and Coinbase when cryptocurrency goes nuts? Their servers lock up, and all of a sudden you lose the ability to access your funds or even trade. Who wants to live under that type of system? So I'm just trying to share with people, it is so much smarter to educate yourself on how the space works and what you're doing. And the primary focus for anybody getting into crypto should be to understand the fundamentals of moving your money out of a bank, putting it in a repository, exchanging it in that repository, and then moving it out of the repository into a private wallet. These are the 3 steps that make you successful in the cryptocurrency space. And unfortunately, as you can see by the dashboard and all of the stake pools that are run by other companies, unfortunately, we're seeing that people aren't getting the right message. Binance should not have 50 pools out of, where's my dashboard here? I wanted to do a whole bunch of them. Binance should not have 50 plus pools on our network, all saturated to max capacity with a lower interest rate of return. And so if you're making 4%, if you realize, oh no, I'm in a Binance pool and I just didn't realize there was more money to be made, or a better way to do it, or a better way to support the network. You've invested in this token, you've invested in this network, right? And you are so excited because you want that money to go up in value, right? Well, staking on these company stake pools is exactly the way to destroy Cardano in the long run. It is exactly the way to break the network, to pull away from to decentralization and to go into centralization. Binance, every time they open up another pool, they are the same company adding another pool, and that is the definition of centralization. These guys are centralizing all of the money in one spot under one owner, and they're controlling it. So if you guys consider you've invested in it, you've spent money in it, and you want it to grow and you want it to thrive, the first thing you should understand is not to invest in Binance, not to invest in Coinbase. You want to use Binance, you want to use Coinbase to do your conversion, and they rake you over the coals with fees on that. But it's a necessary evil until smart contracts launch on Cardano, and then we get decentralized exchanges. And I have a funny feeling once we get decentralized exchanges, we may see these repositories fall to the wayside unless people are complacent and they don't understand and they stay here. But it'll become very evident and very clear in a very short period of time that this type of structure, this corporate erecting of stake pools, is very bad for the network, and something must be done eventually, because if we get too much centralization in Cardano, boy, it really is just like all, so I'm at like 100 pools right now, and I'm in a group of absolutely completely saturated pools that aren't even yielding as high of a percent as I'm yielding. I mean, what do you want to make? 507%? Oh, I love Eden though. I'm not going to pick on Eden. Let's see. Let's go for corporate pools. I don't want to pick on the good guys, the guys that are supporting the network, the guys that are building on the network. I want to pick on the guys that are doing things to hurt the network. So let's go to Binance staking. Here we go. So here we go with Binance staking again. So you don't want to support Binance staking because it's a centralized group that is privately owned that is controlling your money. So enough said on that point. Support the smaller pools is the way, or the best way, to keep your funds valuable. Supporting smaller pools is the best way to decentralize Cardano and keep it decentralized. I would beg anybody to reconsider staking on a stake pool for many reasons. Like I said, they're not getting all of the rewards. You're missing a percentage of interest return, and this is centralizing the network. It's that simple. It's 3 strikes. So get these guys out of here. Get them off of Cardano by not delegating to them or not utilizing their system. And I get it. Right now, it's kind of a necessary evil, and we do have to utilize these exchanges as they are the only exchanges in existence for us to use. But very soon, that's about to change, and when it does, I'm hoping enough people realize this, and they eject themselves from Binance, and they go into a way that actually supports crypto and supports the networks. So let me see. I've still got one person watching, and I've got 2 likes. Who's in there? I think it's just me. Well, that's okay. I need to do this for everybody anyway, right? So this is my my Twitter account. I'm pretty active on Twitter, and I'm growing my I'm trying to grow my group. We're already up to 300 subscribers. It's only been a couple months, and we're doing pretty well. Me and my wife, we went to a Angels Yankee game, and yes, we got a lot of hate by wearing the Yankees gear at an Angels game, but it was fun nonetheless. We had really great seats right off of the first baseline, and we were able to just really have probably the best game that I've ever seen, even though the Yankees lost. It's okay. I am a Yankees fan because of my wife, but I'm also a Dodgers fan because I'm from LA. It's a existential debate that I just have to deal with. Anyway, So, like I said, please, if you guys are interested in learning about crypto, if you guys are interested in the space and how it works and why it's doing what it's doing, please head over to my website and contact me. I am happy to do Zoom meetings, private Zoom meetings, to teach you what is going on specifically, what is about to happen with Cardano, which is substantial, and how you can get involved with very low risk, with a lot of potential upside. And it's a really exciting thing to do, to get involved in crypto. From my experience, you definitely, if you understand what's going on, you're going to see the value very, very quickly. It doesn't take a long time to see the fruits of these labors. And so I just want everybody to learn as much as they can and to get involved. I really feel like it's a public service at this point, to teach people, because in my opinion, I think a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people are looking at their retirement accounts. They're looking at how much they make. They're looking at how much things cost. And they're realizing, as they get to my age, they're realizing, oh, wow, I don't know if I have enough to retire. And I definitely will be working until 65, even later. And I don't want to see that to happen. We weren't put on this earth to work for a company until the day we die. If you ask me, that rhymes with slavery, especially to the effect that they're just paying you enough to live. They're giving you enough for house, food, and water, but you have no real joy or fun in life because you really can't afford to get out there and do anything. That's not what life's made for. That's not why we're here. We're not here to just put our heads down and slave. I know we were all taught, what's the big motto we were taught? Find something you love and then do it, and then get paid for it. That's great, but when you monetize something that you love and then people pull strings and say, oh, well, I can choose whether or not you have this job next week. I can choose, just because I like you or don't like you, to fire you at will. Nobody wants to be held under that type of, under that type of pressure. And when you get into cryptocurrency, what I believe is that you should do things that amass your wealth so that you're not tied to anybody or anything, so you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. And if that is helping people working in a hospital, then you can do that on your own terms without the worry of them leveraging your job against you, or deciding they just don't like you and firing you because you're just not a good fit here. Um, those are things that I've seen many, many people go through, and it breaks my heart to know that um, people will, people can have that power over you, and it's just not right. This isn't what the world is about. We should all be valued for our contribution. We should all be respected for our skill sets, and we should all just be treated with a lot more respect and dignity than the current working system gives us. Workers these days, in my opinion, I've seen just over the past 10 years, workers with a moniker of respect by companies going to zero care and respect. Um, all they care about, as far as from what I've seen, all they care about is refinement in production and doing as much as they can with as little as possible. My wife is an ER nurse, and she works tirelessly in the ER every day, and her hospital system refuses to bring on more staff, even though they are teetering on dangerous patient care loads while they're working with COVID, while they're exposed to angry and frustrated patients as they come in. And it's just not a good environment. It's not the way it's supposed to be. And the reason I believe that these corporations aren't putting in more staff or putting in better protective barriers or listening is because they are just greedy. And I don't mean greedy in the sense that they want money, but greedy in the sense that the buying power of the dollar isn't allowing them to have enough excess to return it back to the employees. And so they're having to capture and keep everything they make to stay afloat. And to me, that's just not a sustainable business model. You have to keep your hopes and the happiness of the employees high, and there has to be something for them to reach for so that they can grow and that they can be successful themselves. And right now, I just think the current business model, these new kids that have graduated business school and college that are going to these corporate jobs, their whole design is to make everything more efficient, and each employee is a number. And if we get employee X29 to do this and this and this, we can get rid of employee X21. And then we can save this much money per year. And if we do this and we replicate this across all the business models, boy, we can save millions. And then what do you hear at the end of the year? You hear about these hospital CEOs getting a $120 million bonus because they saved so much money. And we're listening to this as workers, and we're sitting there at our desks at work, and we're like, I busted my butt all year long doing a double workload. And then when it got slow for a minute, they sent me home. And then if it got busy, they would call me back. And I was basically living my life to keep this business afloat. And they're not even giving me any. They're giving a CEO $120 million. And they didn't even pay me the full wage they promised me for my yearly income because they sent me home so much. Like, these are the things that we're starting to see across the board in business as they work to squeeze out more profit because the dollar is losing value and they require that profit to stay afloat. Like I said, I don't think it's an evil or greedy thing that they're doing, but it is definitely something that is not helping the middle class, and it is not helping the workforce. It's not helping with morale, and it is not good for the current work environment. You couple that with a pandemic of disease and restriction and, government confusion, and it makes for a very uncomfortable situation for a lot of people in the US right now and all over the world. Um, like I said, I believe cryptocurrency and these financial systems are a big solution to improving everyday life for everyday people. And my goal is to teach people what is going on in this space and to help you guys get on board so that you can thrive in an economy that is quite imbalanced right now and is looking for some footing. And right now, I think cryptocurrency is that footing. All right, guys. Well, I have spent enough time with you today. Thank you for listening to me ramble on. My name is James, and I am the stake pool operator for MaximumMint, ticker AMINT. And today was just a Friday video looking at some charts and talking about the cryptocurrency space and Cardano. And it looks like Cardano is just going to keep hovering around the $2.97 space. And with the RSI as low as it is, and believe it or not, it's actually lower and lower and lower every single few days. So yet the price is still going up slightly. I mean, this is just unheard of. Like, the price just doesn't really do this. Right here, we can see this double top, and then we see a new double top, and then we see this top, and then it breaks this top. So this is all higher, 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 right? Yet the RSI is going lower, 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 lower. I can't stress enough how this is a very bullish sign in the trading arena. This is not something that you see from something that is getting ready to go down. This is something that you see when something is getting ready to go up, and it's getting ready to go up big. It all correlates with the release of smart contracts on September 12th. Please keep that in mind if you are interested in getting into the cryptocurrency space and getting it at a discount. Wisdom would state that you should probably set up your Coinbase wallet ASAP, link your accounts, download a Yoroi wallet, get some expert help in how to set that up to make sure that you don't lose your spending password and you don't lose your seed phrase to restore the wallet if anything goes wrong. I am here if you guys need any expert help. Like I said, head to my website, check out my contact page, send me an email. We'll set up a Zoom call. I will teach you how to not show your seed phrase to anybody. I will teach you how to not share your spending password. I will teach you how to create a solid backup so that you can always have access to your funds. I know there's been a lot of negative press about people losing their seed phrases or their spending passwords, and my goal is to stop that through education. So that's all I really have for you guys today. It looks like Cardano is just going to hang out, but it's hanging out in a pretty sweet spot. We don't know exactly where it's going to go, but you know, if we look at the long run, I think the eventual is up. So let's keep that in mind. And I hope to hear from you guys soon. Drop any comments if you liked what we were talking about today. I'd love to hear some feedback. This is a very exciting time for all of us, and I just pray that those of you out there that are hearing this will reach out and get some really great advice and learn how to get involved. By the way, it doesn't cost a lot of money. I usually start people with $10. Once they see it go to 20, they start to get pretty interested and they'll take over from there. But you don't need a large amount of money to get delegated onto any stake pool. If anybody says you need a lot of money, just give me a call and I'll show you how it works with a very little amount of money. Okay, guys. Well, that's all I have today. Thank you so much for sharing some time with me. I feel so blessed to be here. And if you guys, like I said, if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below. Also, I'm a big proponent of security. I have a link to Trezor Model Ts on my website. I believe that the Trezor Model T is by far the best security device that is on the market, and there are many reasons for it. There are comparable devices, but when you go hand to hand or head to head with devices, the Trezor T just beats them all. So make sure you click on this link, grab your Trezor T, grab a crypto steel if you've got it to back up your seed phrase. I can explain that too. You always want to get a crypto steel and a Trezor T for each wallet to back them up. And once again, I also teach you guys how to use that. But if you're into this, give me a call, contact me, and we will get you set up and we'll get you into this cryptocurrency revolution. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have for you today. I hope you're having a wonderful day. This is James, stake pool operator for MaximumMint. Talk to you guys later. Bye.